Joining us today for the episode 7 of The Stride is Tyran Dixon, a defensive powerhouse who recently completed a season with the Lohja Crusaders in Finland's Vahtera-liiga, the top league in Finland. Although the Crusaders faced a challenging season, Tyran's performance stood out as he anchored the defense with his strong play. From earning first team honors at Newberry College to overcoming setbacks in the XFL, Tyron's journey is one of great determination and impressive resilience on the field. We're thrilled to dive into his experiences and what lies ahead for this talented defensive line. Hey, hi Taron. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
All good, all good. So it's the season is finished for this year. How did it go for you personally?
For me, since it was my first season overseas, it was a bit rough, kind of adapting to the culture and everything. For us as a team, um, I mean, we went 1-11. We fought, to the very end. We didn't have the depth that every other team had. We had a lot of different adversities that we had to overcome. So it was this was probably the toughest season I've had as far as professional football. So it was really hard to continue and keep giving the same effort over and over again. You know what I mean? Even though we didn't have
Yeah,
a lot of different pieces together, there were a lot of guys playing different positions and that they never played before. So trying to overcome those obstacles, it was definitely tough. But I mean, we finished the season, so that's all I can ask for. And the guys did well.
yeah, yeah. How about like on a personal level? Yeah, a lot of adaptation going on, but how do you think that you sort of how did your adaptation go?
Actually, for me, man, I loved Finland. I loved every aspect of it. Everybody was welcoming to me. It was a great experience for me, honestly. I came here with the mindset to not only, get my stats and my personal goals done, but
Yeah,
I wanted to give just as much as I receive, or if not more. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
the knowledge that I have of football from all my years of playing, I kind of wanted to pass that knowledge down to anybody
yeah,
that was willing to accept it. So for me, I looked at it as an opportunity to give. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, I have a lot of love for Crusaders, so I'm happy to see you playing there because I think that they can definitely benefit from having you there
right.
and bring your like expertise and power. But okay, enough of that for now. Like, okay, let's take a huge step back in time and tell me
Okay.
where did Tyran Dixon like where did you grow up? Like, how did you get into sports?
So it's a long story. So I was actually born in Heidelberg, Germany. My dad was in the army.
Oh, okay, I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, so I was born in Heidelberg, Germany, and then obviously I don't remember much. I was a kid. My parents divorced, and then I grew up half in North Carolina in the States and half in South Carolina. So I started, first through elementary in North Carolina, and then my mom decided to move to South Carolina where her family um,
Yeah,
originated. So ended up in South Carolina. I started first playing Pop Warner football. I played one season of Pop Warner football, which is like under 10 years old in the States. So I played one season of Pop Warner football in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Fell in love with the game. My mom took me to my first practice. I fell in love with the game. Played one season. Then the next season came around. I didn't have the opportunity to play. We didn't have the funds
yeah,
for me to play, for her to go to school, and for her to take me back and forth to practice. So I sat until we moved to South Carolina. Then I started back up in middle school. Played a little bit of seventh grade, and then went on to eighth grade. Finished middle school. Ended up going to college. Not college. Ended up going to high school.
yeah.
So I went to three different middle schools and three different high schools, which is kind of
Okay,
crazy. But so I kind of had a piece of different environments. So ended up going to high school. really started, trying to perfect my craft then. Whenever I got to maybe 10th grade, I started taking football like super serious. Started, eating right, trying to get my body right, trying to
Yeah.
prepare myself for the next level. So the dream kind of just occurred in that time around 10th, 11th grade year of me, playing professional football. So I ended up finishing in 2015, my last season. We ended up going 1-9, unfortunate, but I had an opportunity to go to college after that. I ended up getting a full scholarship to go to Division II school in Newberry College in South Carolina. They gave me an opportunity.
Before we go to
So,
college, before we go
okay.
to college, like Tyran, the like high school football coaches are like mythical beasts.
Right.
So, like, do you have any like anecdotes to share? Any shout outs to your coaches from back then?
Oh,
Like
yes,
anything you
for
want to
sure.
share?
Yes, for sure. So, man, I got two coaches, three actually. One of my coaches, when I first got to my high school, my alma mater, Columbia High School, it was like halfway. No, it was like 3 games left within their season, and I had just transferred in from another school, and um, I played center, which is like on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And then when I got to Columbia High, I had a coach named Coach Amick and Coach Scott, legendary coaches. They retired now. Helped a lot of players get to where they get to the point that they're at. So I got to the school first practice, and he's like, "Hey, you play football?" I was like, "Yes, sir." He was like, "What position do you play?" I'm like, "I play center." He was like, "Well, we're going to move you to defensive line." So it took off from there. Honestly, I moved to defensive line. My first practice had a really great practice, and then it kind of just started from there. And then they ended up retiring. The two coaches that I just referred,
Yeah.
they ended up retiring, and then we had actually a guy that played in the NFL for 5 years, Coach Willie
Oh.
Offord. Right. So he came in my senior year and tried to change things around at Columbia High School, and he really instilled, perseverance, everything that I needed to know in order to make it to the next level. Honestly, I always
Yeah.
would ask him questions of, how do I get to the next level? How do I get to this point? How do I get to this school? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So around that time, he was the only kind of role model in my life because I went, it was a bad neighborhood and bad
Yeah.
school, So people that made it out of there was, you had to be resilient. You had to, you know what I'm saying, know what you wanted. You had to be, tunnel vision. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So he tried to, change the culture of the school, but unfortunately, we ended up going 1-9, and it wasn't due to him or his coaching. It was just the environment that most of the kids were in.
Yeah.
A lot of them were being products of their environment.
Yeah.
So that was one thing he always told me. Don't become a product of your environment.
Yeah,
So
I think that, that's a good point, a good lesson, and I think that you've carried that with you. Um,
definitely,
but hey, like because like I think that like in different countries, the like sports is organized in different ways, and I think one of the things that's very characteristic of the U.S. system is that the
hmm
school and the teams are very closely connected.
hmm
So, like, whereas, for example, in most European countries, schools and sport are something that are like separate entities.
right.
So you have some sports in school, but the teams exist outside of the school universe, so to speak. But
Okay.
like can you talk a little bit about that? Like, if you think about your like high school Tyran,
hmm
like how immersive was football for you? Like, can you walk me through like your like just the average day? Like, I'm trying to
Yes.
understand like how big of a thing it is or was.
Right, and it's
Yeah,
crazy that you're asking me that because I literally just had a conversation with one of my Finnish friends about this because I didn't understand that you guys didn't include sports within the school. It's like you said,
yeah,
it's a separate entity. So, high school sports in the states is it's a really big deal. I'm gonna say
yeah,
that it's a really big deal. I always refer to this the Friday Night Lights. Friday Night Lights referring to varsity games on Friday. You have the pep rally in the school, but I'm
yeah,
gonna take you through a typical day. So let's say obviously you got your practice the whole week. We go to
mm,
school. You know what I'm saying? Go to school. have practice right after end of school. So that's a typical day as far as Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Um, Friday, it kind of gets a bit shaky because the games, especially for season openers, the games just starting. Everybody's kind of riled in on the football season starting.
Yeah.
So you go to school, you feeling real good because it's game day, and a lot of the schools, they allow you to wear like your jersey on Fridays to like class and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah, they allow you to wear your jerseys on Fridays to class, and then you have your classes. You go through your typical day, your typical school schedule, and then somewhere in between the day, they have what you call a pep rally,
Yeah.
which is, I don't know if you guys know what that means, but
It's better if you explain it. Yeah.
okay, I got you. So a pep rally is basically a big school gathering, all like ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So we have four years of
Yeah.
high school versus you guys is three. I'm assuming.
Yeah. 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 Usually, I think.
Okay. So we have 4 years of high school. So you have your freshman class, your sophomore class, your junior class, and then your senior class.
Yeah.
So usually it's held inside the gym, the basketball gym. So you have like one section is like your freshman class, one section is your sophomore class, one section is, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
hear.
they have different like activities, like different competitions and between the classes, to celebrate the oncoming football game.
Yeah.
So they announce the different teams for the fall season, like maybe the basketball team if you're at the end of the fall season, or if you're kind of in the middle. Any sport that's within the that's playing at the same time as football.
Yeah.
They announce the teams. You get to walk out with your team. You know what I mean? They introduce you. Say their wishes for the season and everything, and it's just they have food. It's just like a big get together.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool experience, and that kind of gets the team riled up and ready to play because you
Yeah.
got fans and you got people that's looking forward to seeing you guys play. So it's
Yeah.
a
And I think
big
that,
experience.
yeah, and it really sounds to me like that, like you guys like put in a lot of effort to
Yes,
to really introduce the players to the community, like create that like whole appreciation, but
there
also
you
like
go.
that personal connection that you actually know on a personal level who you're rooting for. And
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, and I like personally, I think that the U.S. system, I like it. I like it more than the sort of disconnected system that we tend to have
Right,
across most of Europe, because like then like there is no home team in the same sense that I think that you guys have. Like there's a very it's a very real thing what the home
right.
team is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Indeed.
So it must
So,
be a cool feeling to walk out there, like
man,
especially for your first time.
yeah, it's really cool, man. But it can be a bit nerve wracking if you've
Oh,
never
for
done it. Like
sure.
it can be a bit nerve wracking. You especially if you're like a freshman on varsity or a sophomore on varsity. You never really had that playing experience or that time within the older group of the team.
Yeah.
So it can be a bit nerve wracking, but as you go on within your 4 years, you kind of get used to it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's a really cool experience, man, and they put a lot of effort into making sure that when football is around, football is around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it goes the same for every other sport as well, like basketball. It's the same thing. They have their pep rallies as well. It just
Yeah.
depends on the season.
Yeah. Is that like do you still have like new guys joining the teams without background in the sport, like at high school age? Or is it that everyone already has a background in football and they sort of know what they're doing?
I'm glad you said that. So it's kind of the same thing as any other thing that you might try. You might have guys on the team that are physically gifted and have athletic ability, but they
Yeah.
don't know anything about the sport, which is the luxury of the sport. You can
Yeah.
teach it, you know what I'm saying? And guys, you see them transform as they learn the sport. You know what I mean? So it's the same as any other thing that you're trying. Now there are guys that kind of grew up within football like myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might have played Pop Warner, might have gotten the basics of the game, but there are guys that are curious and they just maybe their parents are push them to play,
Yeah.
or maybe, anything. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on the situation. But
Yeah,
there's
because
definitely guys that are new.
I remember reading Bill Belichick's biography, and
Hmm.
it described sort of a history of the American football,
Right.
and like that it has the background in the varsity teams and the whole like high school and college like sports ecosystem in the school, and the intent was to like I don't know when, like 100 years ago, to sort of come
Hmm.
up with a sport that where you could sort of plug in athletes with
Right.
very different characteristics, and you could build a team around that which displays the sort of diversity of sports and athletic capability, so
There
that
you
you
go.
have like very different kind of physiques. Like if you like compare a wide receiver and you like a defensive
Right.
lineman, yeah, you tend to be a little bit of different sizes
Of
and stuff like
course.
that. So is that still a thing? Is it still a thing that at high school level or college level you maybe like pull in some guys from a track and field team or a wrestling team or something?
So I'm glad that's another great question because sports is evolving, it's changing. Every year
Yeah,
it's changing. Even the NFL, it looks different. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's different caliber athletes now. Everybody's not the same anymore. They've evolved as athletes.
yeah,
So with that being said, like coaches, especially college coaches, they love how do I want to put it? They love athletes that play different sports.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying? Like a track and field guy. A lot of the athletes that you see on TV or even in college anywhere, they
yeah.
have a background in track and field.
Yeah. Is it like cross pollination that you bring in new elements from different sports or
Hmm.
new training methods that maybe haven't been introduced to football per se yet, but
Yes.
they're already out there in long jumping or like I don't know,
Yep.
like just yeah.
So for me, for instance, my senior year, I played three different sports, and one of the sports being was tennis.
Oh, cool.
Because yes, I played tennis my senior year. I just wanted to try everything that I could possibly try. So I played
Yeah,
tennis and I did shot put and discus for track. But tennis, the main thing, like you just said, the main thing for me was the coach. One of my coaches, the tennis coach at the time, he was just, hey, you play football? I was like, yes, sir. He was like, well, do you want to work on your feet work? So I'm
yeah,
like, I've never played tennis before, and I'm too 40 at the time. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But he was just like, yeah, just come out and test it out. It'll help you with your feet work, help you with your lateral movement,
yeah,
speed, hand-eye coordination, everything. So I tried it, and it honestly was one of the best things that I could have done, honestly.
yeah.
So a lot of the athletes are doing that.
Yeah, that's so cool because like I have this sort of like the big picture theory of like what's the meaning of sports
Right.
in general, and I think that it's to give an answer to the question of who's best basically.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that the American football, the way that it's built around the school, the home team concept, and the way that you plug in athletes from different sports, it's really it does a remarkable job of answering the question of which school can put together the best athletes, because
Hmm.
you have this very diverse team that exemplifies very wide variety of different traits, and then you have
Right.
to sort of build it so that it actually works together. I think it's a
Hmm.
beautiful concept.
It is. It's very. It's 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 one of those things. Every school is different. Obviously you have because they rank the. So I played at a 2A high school.
Yeah,
2A is like super small. You know what I mean? Not that many students. Like I think I had 118 people in my senior class, something like that.
yeah,
And we didn't have the top tier athletes. It was one of those things where we were taking people that never, like you said, that never played
yeah,
or didn't have any knowledge of anything. All they knew was they were athletic. So
yeah.
we had to
Sorry, is that what you refer to as a walk on? Is that, or is
sort
walk
of.
on something different?
So walk on and we use the term walk on for a
Yeah.
college.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like basically a tryout in college.
Oh, okay.
For high school, it's not really a cut system. Like you don't get cut like in high school. It's
Okay.
like more one of those things where you sign up and they
Yeah.
allow you to play. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay. Got it.
Unless
Yeah.
you just getting in trouble and being like a menace to society, then obviously you have the you can get, released or not released,
Yeah.
but kicked off the team and, banned from the team. But
Okay.
other
Okay.
than that, it's more like you sign up.
Yeah. Got it.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. I cut
No,
you
you're
off
fine.
there. But
No,
yeah.
you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a bit different. So you have the, like I was saying, the 2A, and it goes all the way up to, I believe, 7 and 8A, which are like if you go getting up to 7A, 8A, those are the schools like in California or Texas, that have a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
students. They have a bigger pool of guys to pull
Yeah.
from. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Versus the smaller schools like the 1A and the 2A high schools that have the diamond in the roughs like myself. You
Yeah.
have to kind of search and dig for those type of players. So
Okay. So that's where I like. Okay. Well, you already started when you were what, 9 year old, 10-year old, like,
10.
yeah. But then obviously, like, going to college, it's
Hmm.
it's on a very different level. So
Oh yes.
so what's that transition like? How did, like, your first
Ooh.
day of walking into college practice, like, what was going through your head?
I had a lot of different emotions, man. I probably had every emotion you can think of. Cause they bring, for instance, whenever you sign to go and play in college, they bring you in for fall camp, so you're there before any other student or any other sport. You're there before them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You have like a 2 to 3 week training program, which they call training camp,
Yeah.
and it's really like it's really tough. And the goal of the training camp is to weed out the guys that are not mentally stable enough or mentally strong enough, don't have the mental fortitude to push past those obstacles that they put in front of you on purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
It's kind of like a boot camp in a sense.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Like they every year, I kid you not, every year that I went into, my college program, for instance, we've had like 180 guys to start the camp with, right? By the time those 3 weeks are done, you're down to maybe 90, 80 players.
Yeah.
Because guys, they can't handle it. You know what I mean? Or they miss their families. Um, you're homesick. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different emotions. You have to focus on the schooling aspect. School is getting ready to start. It's really tough. Like the transition from being a high school senior to a freshman in college. It's a big jump. You know what I mean? So you have to learn the time management skills to
Yeah.
propel you towards where you're trying to get. Also, it's more so about the free time that you have in college after the training camp and everything. Is basically you're free to do what you want, and it's up to you to use that time efficiently.
Yeah,
To
yeah, and remember to actually rest and recover and not just go partying
yes,
every night. And yeah,
exactly. So
yeah,
it's up to you. You know what I mean? They give you every tool, every resource that you
yeah.
need to succeed, but it's up to you to use those resources.
Okay, yeah, and like, I remember, like, I back in the day before I had kids, I used to climb mountains, and I had
Hmm.
this saying that there's a lot more people who want to say that they've climbed mountains than there are
Yes.
people who want to actually climb mountains, because
Yep.
most of the business of climbing mountains is horrible. It's very
Exactly.
uncomfortable, and it's
Exactly.
like, it just sucks. So, like, do you think that that's also an element there, that you have a lot of guys who want to say that they play college football, but
Exactly.
they don't actually want the
Oh
business?
yeah. So they were, and that's the thing of training camp. You weed those guys out early,
Yeah,
and that's the purpose. So you can't build a team with 20 good apples and one bad apple, because that
yeah,
one bad apple is going to spoil the rest of the 20
yeah,
apples that you have. You know what I mean? So it's it's tough for a reason, but at the end of the day, so is life, and that's what football prepares you for.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's extremely hard for a reason, and those same lessons that I've learned, like in college, over my years in college, I've it stuck with me. You know what I mean? Every year,
yeah.
So especially like I was saying, my freshman year, I remember, we had a conditioning test. This was like 2 days after we got there. We moved in. The family's gone.
Yeah.
All the sparkles and glitters is gone now. Now you're stuck. Now you here. You know what I mean? So it's like now you're by yourself. What are you going to do with it? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like I remember we had 18 110-yard sprints.
Yeah.
18, and
Oh man.
guys were, oh my goodness, guys were passing out, in the ambulance. Like they had an ambulance right beside our college,
Yeah.
forgot, you know what I'm saying? So it was extremely tough, you know what I mean, to get through that. But I can say this, as you go and you once you get to like your second, third year, it's now you're embedded in that process. So it's like
Yeah.
you know how to get through it. It's just another training camp for you. You know what I mean? Versus you
Yeah.
see the other guys coming in every year. You see a new freshman class coming in, and now you have the knowledge to pass down to them. Okay, this is how you get through this. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? This is how you get through this part of your day. This is how you get through the the feelings of how do I want to put it? The feelings of maybe this is not for me, because I had those
Yeah.
thoughts in my head my freshman year. Oh my goodness, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should quit and try something else. And those feelings, I'm sure it went through everybody's head. You know what I mean?
I
So
think that
now
that's a
you're equipped.
universal experience for anyone who takes their sport seriously enough. You will get to that point where you ask
Oh
yourself,
yes,
"What
the
the hell
doubt.
am I doing here?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
That doubt, once it creeps, it's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have to combat that with something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, definitely. How is it then? Like, if we compare the high school and the college football experience, also from the team perspective, is
Hmm.
it at college level where you start having more coaches and you have your defensive coordinators and offensive like that? It also you're dealing with more people from coaching side of things. You
Yes.
get more inputs and trying to sort of balance that together. How
Hmm.
does that work?
So in high school, it's pretty basic in high school. You got your offensive coordinator, your defensive line coach, your defensive coordinator, and maybe the head coach. Well, in my experience, you know what I mean. I didn't
Yeah.
go to a huge high school, so I can't.
Oh, of course.
I,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I'm pretty sure it's the same across the board. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
lot more pressure in college than it is in high school, especially for coaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have one bad season and coaches get fired in
Oh, yeah.
college. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You have one bad game and coaches get questioned. You have, one bad play and the whole organization is getting questioned now. You know what I mean? So they definitely ramp it up a bit in college. Like in college, you have like your scouting coordinator, you have like your athletic training staff, you have a
Yeah.
head trainer, you have 3 or 4 assistant trainers, you have your strength and conditioning staff, you have your head, strength and conditioning coach. Then you have 3 or 4 guys under him. You know what I mean, to make sure that everybody's getting the same amount of attention and the same amount of preparation, making sure things are getting done
Yeah.
efficiently. You know what I mean? So it's definitely ramped up a good. It's a huge jump, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Then, like, I think that for from again, like from the European perspective, it's sort of crazy that the college teams seem to have resources which few European sports can match, even at the top
yes,
professional level. But
exactly.
so at the same time, like it's no wonder that US produces such amazing athletes,
Hmm.
because you've built a system that takes it very seriously to build up that
Exactly.
talent. Yeah, but
Yep.
obviously also demanding a lot from the athletes themselves.
That's another thing, man. It's physically and mentally demanding that as it is on the coaches and the guys that's trying to prepare you for whatever it is, the game,
Yeah,
practice, whatever. It's the same on the athletes.
yeah,
It's a
and also
direct
like
correlation.
responsibility. Like I can imagine that in high school or in college, if you had a bad game,
Hmm.
showing up in school the next day can be a little bit daunting.
Oh my man, it's definitely tough. It's even in high school, it's the same thing in high school. Like I said, my team went 1-9 my senior year, and it was You got to hear everybody, talking about how bad you are. Like, you got to, talk to the reporters and tell them the reasons why you may be having a bad season, or
Yeah.
and you probably don't even know it. As younger kids, we didn't know too much about, the logistics of the sport and everything that goes into
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? So it's definitely tough, but I will say this: it's not as tough, in high school as it is in college, because you can kind of pick and choose in high school. You know what I mean? You don't have
Yeah.
to necessarily put that on your back. You know what I mean? But the pressure from the outside world, it's kind of, inevitable that you have to deal with, certain circumstances like that.
Yeah, yeah, because like again, if we talk about the differences in the big picture, where
Hmm.
the team and the school is sort of an integrated entity, then you are representing the school or the college.
Hmm.
So it's a very different thing than in the European system, where most of the time, if you lose, it's something that happened on your spare time. So if you go
Yes.
to university or college, like no one knows, no one cares for the most
Hmm.
part. So you get to
Right.
leave that behind. But in your case, you really you just carry everything on your back every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. Hmm.
So that like I can imagine that like first of all, yeah, it does build character and but it also must take its toll.
It does. Over the
Yeah.
years, man, is I would say anybody that's pursuing, professional or even just college, you know what I mean? I think the statistics in the states are, in it's less than 3% that makes it to college, or one less than something, 2 or 3% that
Yeah.
makes it to
Single
college,
digits. Yeah.
and then professional is less than 1% of everybody in the world. So it's like it's really tough, honestly. You know what I mean? So it's crazy, honestly. It's one of those things where you like you said, you gotta really be focused on your craft and what are you trying to achieve? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I will put it like that.
So what was the thing that or a combination of things that were driving you, Taran? Where do you dig deep? Like or when you dig deep, what do you
Hmm.
find? Like what drives you?
For me, it was more so that I've always like, even out of my mom has 4 boys, and
Yeah.
I grew up in a single parent household, and for me it was, my brothers kind of strayed a little bit, as far as achieving the things that they wanted to achieve. They kind of strayed from that a little bit. And for me, my mom was like she was really hard on me because I'm the youngest, I was her
Yeah.
last child. So it's like she instilled in me, like, okay, you see what your brothers are doing, you know what I mean? You see what's going on within our, family circle. And, so football, I kind of took to that as, okay, this is a way for me to not only achieve my dreams and aspirations, but to create a foundation for people that's coming after me that may have been through the same
Yeah.
predicaments that I've been in, or may not know, the route to take, or, I went through all those different emotions. And for me, just the driving factor was I went to a small school. I wasn't heavily recruited.
Mhm.
Nobody really wanted to give me an opportunity. You know what I mean? So when Newberry called, it was an opportunity for me to, okay, say, um, they believed in me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they can, you know what I'm saying, and they called me on signing day, which is like the last day for high school athletes to go, to sign to the
Yeah.
college that they're going to. And after that, it's like all the colleges have already signed the guys that they want.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing for me that day. I got called on signing day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I was going to do, but it was one of those things, like, I always had that drive, like, to just give my best effort. Even on my high school team, like, everybody, that if you call anybody from back home that knew me or that played
Yeah.
with me, they always would tell you he was the hardest worker in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, day in and day out, like, I still remember, a lot of the times when I couldn't sleep at night. You know what I mean? Like, we used to stay in an apartment that was about a mile, not a mile, maybe a little less than a mile from my school, and I used
Yeah,
to walk there in the middle of the night, like, and do workouts, like, you know what I'm saying, at 11, 12 o'clock at night. It was just one of those things. I always just wanted to be different. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
always wanted to be that guy that people can say, okay, he did the right thing. You know what I mean?
yeah, and
Integrity,
yeah, and like do one more thing,
right? And
you know? Yeah,
keep achieving my goals. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I always wanted to. It was more so about how I wanted to be viewed, how I wanted to leave
yeah,
a mark on whoever was watching, because they always say it's always somebody watching you. You don't know who's watching you or who's looking at your
yeah,
story,
yeah,
so it's always
yeah,
somebody watching you.
yeah. And because I think that like there's always like two parts to every, let's call it potential. So there's the stuff that you were born with, and your like family background and all the resources and everything that's associated with that, and that's for the most part like or completely like this is stuff that you can't change. It's just
Hmm.
what you were born with. But then the other part of the equation is that given what you have, what are you gonna do?
Hmm.
And like I think that like at least in my experiences, especially watching like youth sports, I think that like early on when we're talking about young kids and teenagers, the resources that they had to start with play a bigger role, but over time the character and like
Hmm.
what you do with what you have, that starts to become a bigger and bigger and bigger thing. And then
Exactly.
at some point, you get to the point where the character surpasses the the importance of the starting point. Now, I'm
Yep.
not saying that the starting point doesn't continue to matter. Like, of
Right.
course, like if we talk about like for example, like very top level like quarterbacks, for example, then
Yes.
you need to have everything in place. You need to have like the
Hmm.
perfect physique. You need to have the perfect neurology, and then you need
Right.
to have the character and everything. But 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 to to sort of flesh out your potential, it's more and more about you carrying your own weight and doing
Yep.
one more thing, doing what you
Yep.
can. So yeah, would you
Yep.
agree with that?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. That was actually my college's motto. It was get 1% better every day. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So, like you
incremental.
said,
That's powerful stuff.
yes, that was one of the wordings on our locker room wall every day.
Yeah,
So it was like you said, it's not about how you start. You know what I mean? A
yeah,
lot of guys, they start in these higher, how do I want to put it? They start off really well off in football. You know what I mean? Or any
yeah,
sport, anything, and then as it gets tougher, it gets tougher. You know what I mean? The higher
yeah,
you go, the harder it is. So it's like you said, it's more about the mental fortitude that you have. What are you, like you said, what are you going to do with what
yeah,
you have? Like, a lot of guys, like, I could have made a lot of different excuses when I was in high school of not working out because I don't have
yeah,
this equipment, or
yeah,
not doing this because I don't have that resource behind me. You know what I mean? And for me, that's kind of what instilled that hunger. You know what I mean? Not having everything. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And still producing. You know what I'm saying? Like, not having the technology that all these other big schools or big programs have, and not having the nutrition supplements that all these other big school
yeah,
programs have. You know what I mean? Like, I had to go and get my own, nutrition supplements, and do my
yeah,
own research, and do my own, you know, studying on what might make me better as an athlete.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's tough.
But so Newberry College, what's the name of the team? I checked it out, but I forgot.
We're the Wolves, Newberry College Wolves.
Wolves. Yeah. Okay. So I know that like you did well,
I did.
but so walk us through the Wolves, like playing for the Wolves.
I had one of the, in my opinion, I had one of the best college coaches, in Division II, Todd Knight, and real stand up guy, great character. You know, would take his shirt off his back for you if you need
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Always had our back. And throughout my years at Newberry College, they've given me a lot, you know what I mean, that I can take with the rest of my life. Not only, just the mental side of things, but, physically, everything that I need, everything. Like, I wasn't heavily recruited out of high school, one, because I
Mm.
wasn't a huge defensive tackle. I was maybe 5'11", 5'10". I was 240 at the time, my senior
Yeah.
year. And I played the middle of the line, nose tackle, which is usually for
Yes.
like the bigger, heavier guys. You know what I mean? The 6'3s and the 300-pounders. You know what I mean? So when I got to Newberry, I hit a growth spurt. They put me through their program, and I ended up getting to the size that I needed to be in order to play at the next level. So they instilled a lot in me, and we took football very seriously. You know what I mean? It was also a small town. Like, I think we talked
Yeah.
about this before. Like, those are the best towns to have football in. The small towns, the towns that don't necessarily have that many events, venues, and sports. Those are
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
towns where you wanna build a program. You know what I mean? Because you know that the fans, they know you personally. You
Yeah.
know that they're going to support you whether you win or lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's
So
about
they're
having pride.
also holding you accountable on a very
Oh yes,
personal level.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's fine. And that's
Yeah.
what it needs to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're representing that brand. We're representing that team. So it needs to be, you need to carry yourself and hold yourself accountable at all times. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you're not just representing yourself, you're
Yeah.
representing the whole brand, the whole team. You know what I mean? So I feel like just having that experience with Newberry, it kind of opened my eyes up to a lot of different things, a lot of different possibilities, a lot of different avenues. You know what I mean? Going to a small school, we had maybe 4 to 5 thousand fans. You know what I mean? So, but we were one of the programs in D2 that played Division I schools. You know what I mean? And put
Yeah.
up points and competed.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
says a
Not just
lot
show off,
about,
but actually compete. Yeah.
yes, competed.
Yeah.
Actually losing games. I think we played Western Carolina my junior year, and we only lost to them by a touchdown, and it was 2 minutes left within the fourth quarter. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, and we're a Division II school. We're not supposed to be putting up points with these so-called higher schools or
Yeah.
so-called better athletes. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
per se, because it's Division I. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But that's one thing, Coach Knight. He made it known that even in South Carolina, like, we didn't have all the resources that every other school had, but we still competed and still had pride. We had one of the oldest stadiums, and it still is. It's the oldest stadium in South Carolina. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah, think
cool.
about that. Right. So it was one of those things, man. We were a gritty football team. And he instilled that in us every day. Grit. What are you gonna do with your day? Win the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was our motto as well. Win the day.
Yeah.
Take it one day at a time. So it was a great experience for me, honestly. It helped me a lot.
Yeah. So you worked hard. You
Yeah.
did very well, and as a result of those years at Newberry,
Hmm.
you got a break as a result of that. Like, so what happened next?
After college, I ended up graduating. Ended up getting 2 degrees and 2 bachelor's degrees, and then my senior year, after I got done playing, I ended up getting invited to the Tropical Bowl, which is an all-star game for college players in Division
Yeah.
One. So I was one out of maybe like 6 or 7 Division II guys competing against the D1 guys.
Yeah.
So there were scouts there from, the NFL, CFL, all these professional leagues. There were tons of scouts, and I got an opportunity to showcase my talent there.
Yeah.
And then after that, um, I talked to a couple of teams, within my senior year of college in the NFL, and I was on the draft board and everything, getting scouted and stuff. And then after the draft, I came out in 2022. I was the number 4 Division II defensive tackle in the draft, and I just couldn't catch a break at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't get a mini camp invite, which I thought I deserved. You know what I mean? But a lot of that has to do with the politics of the game. You know what I mean? me going to a small school, all the different things that were stacked against me, you know what I mean? It had a lot. It didn't have everything to do with just my play, as it should, in my opinion. I feel like they should scout guys just off of their character and how they perform. You know what I mean? How they play, especially against guys of the Division One caliber, which I feel like I dominated in the Tropical Bowl. You know what I mean? So I had a really good outing. So as that went along, I didn't get picked up, and then I ended up coaching at my alma mater, my college, that
Oh,
summer.
okay.
I started coaching, and my coach was like, "Look, while you're waiting on your opportunity, just come and coach. You know what I'm saying? Get some college experience as far as coaching, so you can up your resume a little bit outside of football." So I did that. I won a championship my first year coaching, and then I ended up getting a call to go to the NFL Academy. I was still training every day. My coaches allowed me to train and coach at the same time. You know what I mean? So I was
Did,
in practice
the coaching experience change the way that you look also the
at the
athlete
game.
role
Oh,
and
definitely.
like training?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah,
It gave me another aspect of, what they look at and how we look as players. You know
yeah,
what I mean? When you're not maybe because I don't care who you are, every athlete, you've had a moment where maybe you didn't go as hard.
yeah,
And you know what I'm saying? You need to take accountability for that. And
yeah,
as a coach, you can see that from the outside looking in. You know what I mean? But as players, you be like, okay, man, I'm tired of this play, or dang, I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to take accountability and go 100 every play. I know I don't care who you are. Every athlete has had that happen.
yeah,
You've had that happen as a human because we all make mistakes. You know what I mean? So there's not an athlete on this planet that can tell me that they've went 100% every rep, every play. You know what I mean? Throughout their
yeah,
whole 4 or 5 years in college. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't, take it serious. No, but I've had moments where I didn't give my best. You know what I mean? Like, I know I
mm,
didn't. And I took accountability for that and fixed that for my teammates. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So you get to see those different aspects as a coach and see how to develop a player as well.
yeah. And I think that like in my experience, like across the board, teaching someone else how to do something is a great way to learn because
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
because you have to take a step back. You need to look at the sort of the bigger picture. You need to come up with a sort of an abstraction of what the hell it is that we're
Yep.
trying to do here, how to get at that. And when
There you
you're
go.
formulating that and explaining that to someone else, you start to understand it in a different way.
Exactly. There you
Yeah,
go. And that's what happened to me. That's
yeah,
exactly what happened to me. A lot of the stuff that my coaches used to maybe get on me about, I seen the same things in the players that I was coaching. And it's
yeah,
like, all right, now I understand why he was saying all the little things matter. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Every
Why
little
did
thing
Coach
that you do, it
Scott
matters.
why was
Yes.
Coach Scott pissed at me for doing
Right.
something those years ago?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And you also understand that everybody's strengths and weaknesses differ
yeah,
from anybody else. So you have to learn how to coach according to that player. Everybody
yeah.
doesn't learn the same. You know what I mean?
Oh
There
yeah,
were players out there that I could get on like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like I know that's not your best effort, or you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But there was also players where I had to take a step back from the the constructive criticism and actually teach them, okay, this is why I'm yelling at you, or this is why I want you to do it this way. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They have to learn in that manner. So coaching definitely opened my eyes up to not only just the players, but the whole football world as an industry, the business of football as well,
yeah.
which is the sad part about it because it is a business.
Well, yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? So yeah, so after that, man, I was still training, like I was, I was coaching as well as running through like the bags and stuff that we were doing practice with my players, so I could stay in shape and waiting on my opportunity.
Oh,
You know what I
okay.
mean? So that's what I mean by the hunger. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I was gonna get it by any means necessary. I was coaching, all day, and then we'll go and work out at 7, 8 o'clock at night. Drive 45 minutes down to Columbia, which is my hometown, and go and get another workout in. You know what I mean? So for me, it was
that's
all that
legit.
little stuff added up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I ended up getting an opportunity to go to the NFL Academy in Texas. I went out there for 3 weeks, and then I did really well, and I ended up getting an opportunity to play in the XFL.
Yeah. So that's the next
So
step in the journey, and like just for the benefit of the people who are listening to this, I think that it's important to also look at this a little bit from the statistics perspective. That because you were from how do you call it, tier two college,
Division
yeah,
two, yep,
a division two college, to get to NFL academy, the percentages are not in your favor, if I'm
not at
correct. So
all.
so it's like I just want people to appreciate the that as an achievement in itself, like that like
Definitely,
it's a huge recognition for your hard work and your capacity as an athlete to go
yes,
there. Yeah, it's like I heard somewhere that like to get that to that point, it's significantly less than 1% of Division two
definitely.
athletes. Yeah,
They're not just taking anybody. I had an agent working for me at the time, and it's it's really hard. Like there were guys. The NFL Alumni Academy is a program to where there were guys that played in the NFL that was already in the NFL, right?
yeah,
And they get cut or they get released, and now they have to. That program was meant for guys that were training camp ready. So when guys go down in the NFL, we were the
yeah,
guys next up. That's
yeah,
what the
yeah.
whole purpose of the program was for, to
So
prepare
taking
us
it
for that.
again to the next level.
Yes, yes. So they pulled from players from the NFL Academy as well.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So whenever guys get hurt, like it's inevitable that guys are going to get hurt during the
yeah,
season.
of course,
And
yeah,
around the time that we were, training, which was, I think it was October I went,
yeah,
that's around the time guys are getting hurt. So we had an opportunity to get coached by NFL coaches, to get coached by NFL personnel, and to get scouted by NFL personnel outside of college. Now you're going against the best of the best. And with that being said, coming from a Division two, I'm in there like, dang, these guys are Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Texas. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was a shock to me at first. I'm like, man, I'm coming from a little small Division two. A lot of the guys were like,
yeah,
Newberry, where's Newberry? Where are you
yeah, yeah,
from?
yeah.
I'm like, I'm from Newberry. They were like, Newberry. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I went to Division two, and they're like, but they were all welcoming though. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
all the
yeah,
guys
yeah,
that were from
yeah,
Division ones. But it was a shock to me. Even when
yeah,
I went to the Tropical Bowl, it was a shock because all these guys are like the people that you see on TV. You know what
yeah.
I mean? So it's like, dang, I'm really in here. Like, dang, all my hard work. You know what I'm saying? I finally got an opportunity to do this and to compete and to show that I can compete as well. And I
But
did just that.
how many people like Tropical Bowl? How many people there watching it?
Man, we had all basically all 32 NFL teams and their personnel,
Yeah,
their scouts. We had guys from the CFL. It was, it was really nerve wracking because you got people that's getting scouted and everything, and you have to talk to the NFL coaches and explain to them, kind of like, and it's really nerve wracking because at the end of the day, these guys have the ability to, I wouldn't say change your life because only you
mm,
can do that, but
yeah,
they ultimately make the decision on who gets into the NFL and who doesn't.
yeah. Who
You
gets
know
the
what I
chance?
mean? Who
Yeah,
gets an opportunity, and that's
yeah,
all you can ask for. The
yeah, yeah.
opportunity is the hardest thing to get, and then once you get it, it's like it's even harder to maintain. It's even once guys get picked up by these NFL teams, it's hard. It's even harder to stay on the team because there's guys coming out every year. It's new talent coming out every year. You might still be, top tier talent, but the fact that they got a guy that just came fresh out of college, it's like he's going to get an opportunity before you, regardless
Oh yeah, yeah.
of how good you are.
So it's like I think that it's from the sidelines when you look at the athletes at any level of competition, really, like
Hmm.
even if it's like if it's college or it's professional, when you're looking at the athlete in the game, it looks like, okay, he's got it made, like
Hmm. Oh
he's
yes,
there, he's
that's what
there.
it looks like.
Yeah, but in reality, like no one is ever done.
Nope.
There's always the next level. We sort of get lost with like this idea of like Brady or someone who like
Oh
who
yes.
gets to decide for themselves how many seasons they're still
There
going to
you
play. But
go. That's a 1 in a million guy right there.
yeah,
One in
yeah,
a billion.
that's a 1 in a million of all the professional athletes.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's like those are like one almost like one guy is a guy in a generation.
Yep.
So but for everyone else, even at the top echelon, you still have to fight for your place every day.
Every day. It
Yeah,
is a struggle. It is a battle. It is because you can get cut for anything.
yeah,
Like you have one bad snap and you cut. The margin of error is like this.
yeah,
And for me, the margin of error is like this for a Division 1 athlete, but for a Division 2, it's smaller.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's tough, man. Like it's mentally tough.
yeah. So okay, so XFL,
hmm
what happened there?
So I was in the XFL, went to training camp and everything. I was with the Vegas Vipers, and I ended up making it to the last cut. The last cut, like there were
Yeah,
so if they had three different cuts, there it was the first week, and then you had the 2 and 3 week mark cut, and then you had the last of the last where they're making the final roster up for the team.
yeah,
So I, in my opinion, and to some of my other peers that was on my team, like I showcased that I belong there, if not higher. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like I was slowly but surely like learning how to be a professional athlete and learning, what and what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Just by the guys that were around me. Like a lot of the guys that were on my team, they had already played in the NFL.
yeah,
Like they were former first round picks. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I got to learn from those guys, and I ended up getting released on the last day of cuts. And to this day, I still don't, understand why my opportunity was shattered like that. You know what I mean?
mm,
But at the end of the day, like I said, that's when I started to learn that it was truly a business.
yeah, yeah. But it's like that must sting like hell.
It did.
Yeah,
I was down for a year and a half after that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Depression, all that. I was down because for me, looking at some of the guys, you know what I'm saying, that were on my team, like it's like, okay, like I said, a lot of the guys they're going to get more opportunities than the Division 2 guy. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Their margin of error is a lot higher. You know what I mean? So it was kind of nerve wracking for me because I felt that I was getting better every day, and I was. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like I was slowly but surely becoming the athlete that I wanted, that I've strived my whole life for, or the
yeah,
football player that I've strived my whole life for. So to not get the opportunity to at least even play, you know what I'm saying, in the game other than the scrimmage, it's like it was really mentally reckoning for me.
yeah. That's like that's very 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 tough. Like it's, but at the same time, like I think that as you said, like you can ask for an opportunity, and then you'll
hmm
make the most of that opportunity. But at the same time, as you said, it is business,
That's
and there's a
exactly what it
team.
is.
And I think that whenever you're trying to get into a team or even professional, let's just say that you're applying for a job. Like
hmm
let's even forget about the sports for a minute.
Right.
Like you're applying for a position in a team. You never actually know who you're up against. You never know exactly like what's going on the other side. What are
hmm
like the other things which are impacting the decision of the people who choose. Like for example, like the other team members, who are the other people they have in the pipeline and stuff like
Right.
that. So it's a careful balance, in my opinion, on carrying your own personal responsibility for the outcome, while at the
hmm
same time recognizing that there's always going to be things which are completely outside of your control. And
Exactly.
even if you have the perfect day, it might not be enough because there's something, a black swan swimming in the
Yep.
background somewhere, that just eats
Yep.
up your opportunity and never bothers to tell you why.
And that's the hardest thing, like knowing that because I came to realization that there was nothing that I could have done to stay on that team.
Yeah,
like it was out of my control. You know what I mean? Like I was doing everything that I needed to do. Like and what but the outside forces, like there is no, you can't control what happens. The only thing you can control is what you do. And
Yeah.
like you said, sometimes you just fall short.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or it might be that you're not falling short, but the goalposts were just moved.
Right. Exactly. The goal person. I like that right there.
Yeah,
Definitely. So yeah, it was one of those things, man. That, you know, that I wish a lot of people would understand because it's more than just what you see
yeah,
on TV, and we're not invincible.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like a
no,
lot of
yeah.
we have the same emotions as everybody else.
And I know that this is like an important topic for you, and like the whole like psychological well-being,
Hmm.
and you said that like for a year and a half after being caught, you were down. Um,
Hmm.
so like what were you going through like for those year and a half?
So I basically had to start all the way over again. And that's the thing. Like once you get cut or you get released, you have to start all the way over again. You might
Yeah,
have left the job that you were with. Like I left my coaching job to go to the XFL. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And then I got released 6 weeks later. So it's like,
yeah,
now what am I going to do? Now I'm at home. I'm on a plane. I'm on my way back home. I'm just, I'm bawling. I'm crying or whatnot. And it's like all these emotions are going in your head. Like, dang, why? Okay, you're angry because you don't understand why you got cut. It's not like they're going to tell you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And they don't owe that to you either. You know what I'm saying? And you got to take your
mm,
feelings out of it. Like, but that was my first professional experience. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I didn't know how to handle it. You know what I mean? But like, it was a shock to me seeing some of the guys get cut, and they're just like, "Oh, it happens," and I'm like, "What you mean it happens? Like, these are guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean? Like, it
yeah,
was guys on my team that had got cut 8 times. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So it's like that sting for me was a different sting for them because they know how to get through it. It's just like what
yeah.
I
They
was just
know how to
talking about
deal
the
with it.
college
Yeah,
freshmen. They know how to deal with it. But for me, I was down. I had to start over again. I didn't know where my life was headed. I didn't know if football was over for me.
yeah,
I didn't know the next avenue. I was just down. Like I stopped working out for a month. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, dang, like what could you know what I'm saying? I really was soaking in every emotion that
yeah,
I had from that experience. And it was like it's crazy because I was there and then I'm gone the next like that.
yeah. Is it like would it be fair to say that one way to look at it is that you had to figure out again like who is Tyran Dixon?
There you
Right.
go. I had to
Yeah,
figure it out all over again, like,
yeah.
man, okay.
It's when you're talking about starting all over again, we're not talking about physically starting all over again. Your your muscles and your
Yeah,
skills,
that those stay
like
the same. Those
yeah,
stay the
those are
same.
there. But inside your head,
Yes.
yesterday you thought you knew who you were, but then this
Mm-hmm.
thing happened, and now you
Yep.
don't identify yourself anymore.
Yep.
Is that one way to look at it?
Oh yes. I was embarrassed. And now that I think about it, now that I'm older and now that I've gotten to the point where I've put it in the past, it's like I was still I wasn't giving myself enough credit because of the fact that I still made it. It
Yeah,
was I was one out of 360 guys in the XFL. You know what I
yeah,
mean? In the world, it's like I was still one of the few Division two guys in the XFL,
yeah,
competing with guys that won Super Bowl rings.
yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
crazy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
So
the level of accomplishment right there is crazy. It's amazing. Yeah,
there you go. Like I had a guy on my team. He played for the Eagles. He was a defensive tackle, and I learned a lot from him. His name is Destiny Vale. Learned a lot from him. He teach me, certain things. I had another guy on my team that played with, some of the greats like Von Miller, Peter Tomopino. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I learned from those guys. You know what I mean? And they could see my talent. You know what I'm saying? So it was like once I got released, Peter, for example, hey, keep going, man. You got it. You just need the right eyes on you. You just need the
yeah,
right people to see you. You know what I mean? But don't give up because you got it. You can play. You know what I mean? So once that started happening, it was like I started regaining my confidence again. It's like, okay, you were down. Yes, you did. You got cut. Cool. Now what you gonna do with it? Because
yeah,
you done what you were supposed to do at that moment. You know what I mean? Like you were where you were supposed to be at. Your feet were where they were. You know what I mean? So it's like stop being so hard on yourself and pick yourself back up. You know what I mean? So the mental aspect started to grow a little bit more once I started getting further and further away from that day of getting cut. You know what I mean? Like time heals. You know what I'm saying? So I got back into the mindset to continue to strive, whether it's NFL. I just wanted to play football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's NFL, CFL, whatever. I know my talent. These people
Yeah.
can see my talent, but it's not up to me.
Yeah.
If,
Yeah.
if if it was up to me, of course I would be on the NFL team. I would be in the XFL team right now. Of course.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that I can do to control that outcome. The only thing I can do is continue to work out, continue to strive, continue to perfect my craft. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
If
yeah,
it
I
happens, it
think
happens.
on a day-to-day basis, I think that the by far the healthiest option is always to focus on the stuff that you can impact yourself.
Hmm.
Like everything else, worrying about all the other stuff, like that will just get you nowhere.
Yes, I was drowning myself in my own thoughts after I got
Yeah.
released. I'm like, I can't tell you how many messages I sent to the coaches that I've met in the NFL Academy, the coaches
Yeah.
that were in the XFL that I had met, and it was just more so like I kept getting yeah, we see you, you know what I mean? If we happen to somebody happens to go down, just continue to be ready. Like when I got
Yeah.
released, that's the first thing they told me. Stay ready because you don't know
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
you back.
Yeah.
So it's like once that happened, it's one of those things. You just gotta keep pushing.
So how did you climb out of there? Like
The
at the
depression.
end of the 18, like a year and a half,
Hmm.
who helped you out, or how did you find your way out of that? Like,
I'm gonna be honest, man. Like I picked myself up out of that. You
yeah,
know what I mean? There were a lot of people, that were in my corner at the time when I was in the XFL, but after being released, you kind of see the slow decline of support.
mm,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I give myself that credit, me and my creator. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like there was nobody like now I had a couple of yeah keep going, but nobody could really feel the pain that I was feeling.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying? Yeah, you might have your family members here and there, that might hit you up. How are you doing? But nobody really cares.
mm,
If I'm gonna be honest, nobody
yeah,
really cares about what you have going on until
yeah.
you're doing it. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I think that like most people tend to think of these things pretty superficially, and the
Yes.
easiest story to expect uh, is the is the up or out sort of mentality and things that
Yes.
either you keep winning or you're a loser, and that's the end of the
There
story.
you go.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
perfect analogy right there. There you
yeah,
go.
yeah. And
And
I
that's how
think
I
that,
felt.
but the reason why I find this annoying as hell, and
Hmm.
I suppose that one of the reasons why I've been there, like starting next Stride and trying to sort of change the narrative, is
Right.
that if we look at this from a story perspective, like if you think of any one of the um, of the best like Disney sports movies,
Hmm.
it's never like that.
Never.
It's always there's always like you go up, then you fall down, then you fight like hell to get out of that hole,
Yep.
and that's when the real story starts because now you've transformed, and now it's actually a lot
Yes.
it's a lot more meaningful story. but
There
but
you
for
go.
some reason we believe in that when we're watching movies, but when we're watching real athletes,
Hmm.
we're really quick to just forget about them
There you go.
when they go down the first time,
Yep.
and like that's just wrong because we're actually missing out on all of the best stories, the most touching ones, the ones that actually resonate with people, and who I think that tell a more realistic story about like how you need to deal with life in
There
general.
you go. And see, I like that you went there because a lot of people don't understand. We're all human.
Yeah,
No matter what you do, I could be a billionaire. I'm still human. I'm
Yeah.
still going to have emotions. I'm still going to be lonely. I'm still going to be doubtful, you know. And it's like, I wish a lot of people would understand that just because you see that professional athlete on TV, you don't know. I'm going to put it like this, and I'm not going to name drop the guy, but there was a guy on my XFL team, I kid you not. And he used to always tell me, Ty, the NFL is great, don't get me wrong, but I was miserable when I was in there.
Hmm.
I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, hold on, what do you mean you were miserable? You have everything that you want.
Yeah.
You're making great money. What do you mean you were miserable? And he literally would tell me stories like of how guys were walking around like afraid of getting cut. And it was like that in the XFL as
Yeah.
well. Guys were scared to get cut. Guys were not living in the moment because of the fear of starting over, the
Yeah.
fear of getting cut and not getting another opportunity to play football, the fear of everything getting snatched from you that you worked so hard for and you don't even know why.
Yeah.
Just like any job, you might have a guy, like you
Yeah.
said, it happens in the workforce as well. In the in the blue collar, white collar, it happens in
Yeah.
those jobs as well.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Because you might have a guy that's giving his blood, sweat, and tears to one company for 20 years, 20 or more years, and then they just happen to get laid off
Yeah.
with no explanation. How does that person feel? How can he support his family now, or if even himself? How can he support
Yeah.
himself now? I've given my whole life to this company, and it's like I don't get nothing in return.
Hmm.
There's no return on my investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, as humans, everybody needs to do better as far as making sure that we all work together at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what you're going through. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know, what's on this person's head. So I try every day to make sure that I check on the people that, you know what I'm saying, that I might, it could just be a stranger. Like, hey, how you doing? Like, you all
Yeah.
right? Everything's going good in life. You know what I mean? Like, it's about that. It's not about the sports.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not about the money. People are too superficial on the money side of it. And truth be told, the only reason why a lot of the guys want to play in the NFL or the XFL or the CFL is because of the money.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, yeah. Again, we're coming back to this. Like, do you actually want to do it, or do you just
Right.
want to say that you've done it and get the paycheck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. And it was crazy because like you would be surprised at some of the guys' effort when they get into the professional realm.
Yeah.
Like even if you watch the NFL, you might see a defensive lineman not chase the ball anymore
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and don't get penalized for it. Like
Yeah.
that's how you got to where you're at. So why would stop the things that you built whenever you get to where you're, what I'm saying, you're going just because you're getting a paycheck now.
Yeah, but I also think that like some guys are wired, and girls I assume as well. So that
Hmm.
like they can only keep chasing the next level as long as there is a next level. But when
There
they
you
get to
go.
the top, they're like, okay, what the hell
There's
am I
nothing
doing here?
else. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
and like and I can sort of I resonate with that. Like as I said, like I used to climb mountains, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of climbers who say that they found themselves or some great truth on top of a mountain somewhere. I never found shit, nothing.
Mm.
I
Really?
I get to the top, and then my reaction is like, okay, I'm here, time to
Now
go
what?
down. Yeah,
Right.
and and but I think that I really honestly did climb mountains because in some very deep level I love climbing mountains, even though it
Oh
sucks.
yes.
Yeah, I love
Oh
the suck.
yes.
Yeah, and I think that that's what I see in you. I see in you that like the passion for the sport for the sake of the sport. It's like, of course, like yes, we do need money and we need resources, we need time,
Hmm.
like all that. Yeah, goes without saying. But I think that at least as far as I can tell, your motivation is sort of intrinsic. It's based in the sport itself.
Yes. Yes. And I've dedicated my whole life to this. Of course, I've always wanted to play in the NFL, and I've had like I said, I've talked to scouts. I know what
Yeah,
it. I know the infrastructure of the NFL and how they work because I also got to see it from the coaching side too. You know what I
yeah,
mean? The same scouts that I talked to my college year when I was coaching after I didn't get
yeah,
drafted were the same guys that came back to the college when I was coaching. And I will never forget the Titans coach, the Tennessee Titans,
yeah.
their scout, he came back to the school when I was coaching. He's like, how's everything going? Because he was at my pro day and
Mm,
everything, and I'm
yeah,
like, man, I'm still, striving and everything. I'm just looking for an opportunity. And his whole thing was, just continue to play ball wherever it's at. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And he never gave me an explanation of anything. His whole thing was, look, just continue to
yeah.
play ball and be happy.
But like, I think that giving the explanations probably wouldn't help much anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I think that like forward looking advice is probably the best thing that he could have said at that point, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
he's done. So okay, so now you're in a very different setting right now. Uh, so
Yes.
so where are you now, and what's your sort of plan of action? Like, how are you making a difference now?
So I'm in Finland now. I ended up coming to play for the Loyal Crusaders this year, and like I said earlier, my whole thing was after I kind of rebranded myself after the whole experience I had with the professional and the XFL and NFL, I just wanted to give back. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? To something somewhere. I just wanted to make a difference. You know what I mean? And I'm in a point in my life now where it's like, of course, I'm still striving for those goals in the NFL, but it's like
yeah,
I'm more so worried about what can I give, what knowledge can I give to guys that's maybe looking at some of the guys in the NFL or maybe wanting to get to where these
yeah,
guys are or maybe wanting to go to college. You know what I mean? So I'm at a point in my life, like I said, I just want to give and to anybody that's willing to receive, like I'm an open book, you know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure that some of the things that I went through in my life, some people can resonate with and some people
yeah,
can admire, you know what I mean? And you never know you never know anybody's story, you know what I mean? You never know who you can learn from. So I'm just wanting to honestly Finland, I've loved Finland, honestly. This whole experience was great for me, you know what I mean? And I'm just wanting to make a difference, whether it's whenever I'm done playing, end up coaching here or anything of that nature, ended up, setting up my own business here or
yeah,
just to where I can give back. So whenever I'm done playing, obviously, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm not to the point where I want to give it up. You know what I'm saying? I haven't reached my ceiling yet. So
yeah,
but thinking for the future, that's probably my next plan of action to kind of set something up to where the Finnish people or any other country,
yeah,
I don't know, maybe it's Finland, maybe it's Germany, whatever, can benefit off of my experiences and
yeah,
learn how to navigate through their own experiences. You know what I mean?
yeah. So you're working across like two time horizons here. So there's the immediate future, like as a player, but you're also looking at the horizon after
Yes,
next. And
sir. There
yeah,
you go.
yeah, and I think
I
that
can't play football forever. Nobody
yeah,
can.
yeah, exactly.
And I'm
Yeah,
looking towards the legacy that I want to leave, whether it's in Finland, like I said, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in Spain, whatever, whether it's in back in the NFL or back in the US.
yeah,
I just want to make a difference because not enough people talk about everything that we go through. Not enough people talk about the depression. Not enough people talk about the number of guys that lose their fire to go after their
yeah,
dreams. Not even if it's not, it doesn't even have to be sports. Because there were a lot of guys on my team that got cut as well that didn't pick themselves back up, which
mm.
is unfortunate.
Yeah, and we see this happening in arts. We see musicians going through the same questions
Yes.
professionally. People go through this like white collar, blue collar. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
These are just human experiences, and I
Human
completely agree
emotions.
that. Yeah, but
Yes.
I think that the power of sports is that sports is like a distillation process. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we just like what gets left in the bottom of the pot after you've
There you
distilled
go.
everything else is that just the
Yes.
pure essence, and that's
Hmm.
what I think that people find it so sort of easy to understand these stories stemming from sports, because it's sort of like a simplified version of life. And I'm not saying that it's
Yes.
simple, it's just
Yes. I know what you're
simplified.
saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. The same things that we go through in sports, the same things
yeah,
that happen in life every day.
yeah. I think that like that's a good place for us to stop for today. But like
Okay.
any shout outs, anything, any thoughts, any call to action, anything, like you want to say before we close this down.
I wouldn't necessarily say any call outs, but I really would just want anybody that's listening, you know what I mean, or anybody that's watching, anybody that happens to come across this to really listen and internalize everything that we talked about, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And not just look at it as just another, podcast or interview, take something from it, whatever it may be, you know what I mean? Like that was the whole purpose of some of the topics that we discussed for somebody out there that's maybe on the verge of quitting or on the verge of trying to figure out their next step. Just I would say just be where your feet are, you know what I mean, and
mm.
make a difference wherever you at. And that's kind of what I've done here. I've been where my feet was in Finland, obviously, you know what I mean. So that's pretty much the gist of what I have to say on that.
All right, yeah, because every play counts, and you can always do one more thing.
Right.
Tyran Dixon, thank you so much for taking this time. It was a pleasure talking with you, and yeah, I hope you have a great season next year.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into Stride, where we elevate the game for emerging talent in niche sports. Before you go, here's a quick recap of what Next Stride is all about. At Next Stride, we're driven by one mission: to revolutionise how athletes in niche and emerging sports are recognised and supported. We connect athletes and federations and brands through a trusted, transparent platform, creating real opportunities for growth and long-term success. Whether you're an athlete, federation, or a brand, Next Stride ensures your achievements, support, and sponsorships are recognised and rewarded. To athletes, join Next Stride to get verified recognition for your achievements and access sponsorships that value your potential. To sports federations, partner with us to drive recognition, improve operations, and open new sponsorship avenues for your athletes. To brands, looking for authentic connections with athletes and fans in niche sports? We provide a diverse range of talent, offering transparency and superior return on investment. Visit us at nextstride.com to learn more. And a special thank you to Arttu Silvast, who composes and produces all of the music and audio for Stride. We'll see you next time. Keep pushing forward.